My name is Yancy, and I'm running for state treasurer. So good to be at the Neshoba County Fair. This is one of the highlights of the year for me. I've been coming for at least the last decade. I know there are many of you who have been here your whole life. For the last 4 years, I've represented portions of Rankin and Madison County, and I've been one of the most conservative senators in the Mississippi Senate, in the Mississippi legislature. In fact, before I was elected in 2006, Pro-Life Mississippi named me Pro-Lifer of the Year for my work with legislation trying to stop abortions in the state of Mississippi. I was also president of Choose Life Partag. Choose Life Partag, which distributed more than $1 million to crisis pregnancy centers across the state at that time. You've seen those tags on the backs of people's cars. When I was running for the Senate, I signed a pledge from Grover Norquist with Americans for Tax Reform in Washington, D.C. The pledge was not to vote for any tax increase. And I'm one of the few legislators who signed that pledge who kept their promise. One of the first taxes that came before the Mississippi legislature was a cigarette tax. And I was looking at that, I said, well, I signed the pledge saying I wouldn't raise taxes. I don't like cigarettes, but I hate taxes even more. Because if you raise taxes on cigarettes, you ought to raise taxes on soft drinks, you ought to raise taxes on potato chips. And it doesn't make any sense, because it doesn't solve the problem, and it just increases the size of government. I believe Ronald Reagan said it best. The government that governs best governs least. And we need less government in the United States of America. We need less government in Mississippi. I signed a pledge not to raise taxes, and I kept my promise. I've also been concerned about all of the bond spending in our state. We're $4 billion in debt. Last year, we paid off $270 million. We had a bond bill in the Senate. And I thought this would be a great time to authorize less than what we just paid off. So I thought the bond bill should be less than $270 million. That way our debt will either stay the same or come down. And when the bond bill came out, it was $422 million. I thought, what in the world are we doing? My colleagues told me, Lee, you can't afford to vote against this bill. You're running statewide. You're going to need their help all across the state. I said, no, the state of Mississippi can't afford to authorize this debt and kick the can down the road for our children and grandchildren. So I voted no. And I'll vote no again. And I've been pledging all across the state, if I'm elected as your state treasurer, that I will not vote to issue more bonds than we paid off the previous year. See, there's another step in the issuance of bonds in the state of Mississippi. Legislature authorizes the bonds, but the bond commission is who issues the bonds. And that's made up of the governor, the attorney general, and the treasurer. 3 people. And it takes 2 of the 3 to issue the debt. And if the governor or attorney general will help me, I'll vote no on anything over what we paid off last year. And each year, our debt will be lower than it was the year before. When our bond debt is lower, our credit rating is better, our bond rating is better, interest rates are lower, and Mississippi is the type of place that businesses want to locate because they can come here and have a competitive advantage over other states. We need more jobs in Mississippi. We need more people going to work here in Mississippi. So I'm encouraged by the fact that we have a way to stop it if somebody just has the guts to do it. And I'm telling you, I have the guts to do it. I've taken so many hard stands in the legislature. I am known for someone who is not afraid of a fight. When it came to eminent domain in the legislature, I took the stand that the government should not take your property and give it to a business. That's wrong. And I got up in the middle of the Senate and I started talking about Ahab and Jezebel taking Naboth's vineyard in the Bible, and the other senators started passing an offering plate while I was talking. So they have a lot of fun with me there. When I was elected to the Senate, I started working for a money management company called Woodridge Capital Portfolio Management in Ridgeland, Mississippi. We're a small firm, about $150 million under management. We do stock investments, we do 401ks and pension plans for businesses. I have a securities license. And I am the only candidate running for state treasurer who has a securities license. I think that's important for you to know. I'm very concerned, as I said before, about our state retirement system. We have a $10 billion unfunded liability in PERS. $10 billion. As I said before, my mother is a state retiree. She taught first grade for 25 years, and I want to make sure she gets her retirement. A good pension fund, a good defined benefit plan, is at least 80% funded. But our plan is only 64% funded. You see, we had a couple of bad years in 2009 and 2010. Our actuaries say our plan's got to make 8% each year in order to be solvent. But at the end of 2009, we were negative 20. The next year, we were negative 14. Now, we've had a good year since then and a good year so far, but we're still not out of the hole that we were in because of those bad years. Now, a lot of people have been talking about a lot of different things about how to fix the retirement system. But I want you to know, state employees, and I want you to know, retired school teachers, that I will never do anything to take away your 13th check. I think that's something that you have worked for and you need to keep. But I also want you to understand, we have got to keep our promises to our retirees, but at the same time, it's not fair to take it out of the general fund year after year after year in order to make the pension solvent. We've done a number of things. We increased the employee portion from 7.25 to 9%. We changed the years of service from 25 years to 30 years in the legislature. And there are a number of other things that can be done to try and tweak the system. I hope the economy improves. I hope nothing has to be done, but we need to be prudent. We need to be looking forward to make sure the money is there for our retirees. Next year, the state's portion is going from 12% to 12.93%. That 0.93 represents $53.7 million that's coming out of the general fund, going into the pension in order to keep it solvent. But that $53 million can't be used for education. It can't be used for public safety. It can't be used for public health because our pension is in such trouble that we have to keep raising the state's portion. And that's not right to the other taxpayers. So we're looking for a win-win situation. And I think it's important that we have a state treasurer who knows something about pensions and who will go in there cautiously and prudently making decisions that will be to the benefit of all concerned. And I can assure you that that's what I intend to do. It has been such a privilege to serve as a Mississippi State Senator. I want you to know that I'm standing up here today running on my own record. I'm not running on anyone else's record. I have pulled myself up from where I started, standing on the shoulders of my parents, on the parents of good, hard-working Mississippians, a Baptist preacher, a retired public school teacher who come from a long line of farmers and good, God-fearing people. I am running because I think I'm the best person for this job. I'm running because I'm the only one with a securities license. I'm running because I'm the only one that has a legislative record that you can scrutinize. If you want to know what kind of treasurer I would be, you can see what kind of senator I have been. For the last 4 years, BIPEC has rated me a business champion. I am somebody who's always stood up for what's right. I've been endorsed by a number of people, and I'm proud to have their endorsements. Congressman Greg Harper has endorsed me. He's a good friend, and I'm so delighted to have him with me. Reverend Donald Wildman has endorsed the American Family Association. So has the Mississippi Federation for Immigration Reform and Enforcement. Illegal immigration costs us about $50 million a year. And that's too much. That's way too much. And we've got to do something because Mississippi tax dollars ought to go to Mississippi citizens. I've also been endorsed by the Mississippi Gulf Coast 912 Project. Very happy to have their vote. I'm very excited about what the Tea Party movement is doing across our state and across our country because we are taxing up already. We have a serious spending problem in this country and in this state. I'm Lee Yancy. Maybe you've seen my pennies commercial. But at the end of my commercial, I look you in the eye and I say, I'm Lee Yancy. I'll take good care of your money. Every single penny. And I mean it. I need your vote on all this.